Status report. Subject spent 2 hours cleaning the room instead of doing this video. Procrastinating. Yes, very good. Cognitive weather. Clear but facing resistance. Energy levels waning. Today is day 10,514 on planet Earth. And I've decided to begin to observe and document my process here. My name is Jake, and this is going to be a series where today is technically day 1, but I just found out that I've been here for 10,514 days. And it feels like an important time to begin to document this process. And so every day what we're going to do is just a status report. We're going to identify any patterns that are showing up and use this as an opportunity to reflect upon what life is like as a 28-year-old man navigating this realm. So, primary anomaly of the day. Work was canceled at 1500. At 1 o'clock today, I serve at a private golf course, and I got a message saying, hey, there's no reservations tonight. With the snow over May long weekend, the course is closed. We don't need you to work tonight. 2 things showed up for Jake. 1, relief. I get the evening off. That said, yesterday the same thing occurred, and so instead of it being met with a spaciousness and a peacefulness that was like, oh, I finally get a day, it was met with, financial grips, the stress of not having enough work started to show up. And I recognize that there is a belief there. Of course, every time we go through one of these, switches in our day-to-day, when there's a shift, something asks us to pivot or to adapt quickly or to change our structures, our routines, our practices, our day, the schedule rearranges itself on us. Okay, how do I deal with that, right? And if I just take a moment to sit into the observer, like scientifically observing this, subject went and ate some food and then sat outside in the sunshine and took a moment to slow down and process the shift in schedule, which I think was great because oftentimes that leads to a degree of peace and clarity for Jake to be able to navigate that change. So that was good. Check. Good job. While I was sitting in my practices earlier today, approximately 11:30, I received insight that many of the choices that I make are an attempt to feel safe. And what's interesting about this is that because I work another job where I'm over at an American Ninja Warrior gym, and I'm constantly asking these kids to do things where they feel unsafe. Where they say, I'm scared, I don't want to do it, I can't do this. And what's interesting and what I recognize is that I put these kids into situations where they feel unsafe, not to just try and scare them or to have them get hurt, but it's so that they develop trust in me, in my ability to spot them and support them and not let them get hurt, but also to develop trust in themselves and their own strength, their ability to jump to an obstacle or to hold their own body weight or to whatever it is. And I recognize the same thing applies for me, but there is a higher aspect, God, source, spirit, that is putting me in situations where I do not feel safe. And it's not because I want to get hurt or because this aspect of life or even myself, I create these scenarios for myself where I don't feel safe, but it's not like I'm physically in danger. But like when finances start to get a little lower, or when I choose to fast from food, these both have a feeling of unsafety because the perception is that if they get low enough that there's danger on the other side. But I don't end up in these scenarios. I'm not being placed in these scenarios just for the sake of unsafety or for being endangered, but rather to learn trust. Trust can only be learned in a situation where unsafety is present, where we don't feel like everything is going to work out, like we're not taken care of, like we don't know what's going to happen next. When there's a lack of certainty, we develop trust. That's the only fertile grounds from which I'm able to actually learn that process. And so if I'm asking and if I'm putting it out there, like I want to learn patience, I want to be more compassionate, I want to be more trusting, I want to have more relaxation, then the only place that those qualities are developed is in the presence of its opposite. And so if there's situations or scenarios where I am facing and I'm being asked to face something challenging, uncomfortable, unsafe, chaotic, pressurized, timely, ultimately those are the fertile grounds that are asking me to develop the opposite. So that was interesting because I recognize I put these kids through this daily. And who am I if not a child of something greater, my soul or a life force, a greater force that is doing the same thing to me as its child, ushering me into development of skills. A couple other patterns we've identified is that subject will consume large amounts of banana waffles and high quantities of walnuts before bed. And it is proven to disrupt recovery and sleep quality. See if that pattern continues. Also notice that doing Uddiyana Bandha, a breath technique, has resulted in deeper levels of peace, relaxation, better digestion. So that would be one that I think would be worth adding to the let's continue that list. Lastly, next mission. Tomorrow's focus is going to be on reducing unnecessary noise in all of its categories. Literal physical noise, but noise in the sense of consumption, noise in any distortion or excess screen time, excess food, excess primarily screens is going to be the mission for tomorrow. I've got a little bit of the day off, so I'd like to spend more time staring at birds, less time staring at screens, and we're going to see how that goes. End transmission.